Dangerous by Jessie Keane. Read by Karen Cass. For the love of money is the root of all evil. Some have wandered away from the faith and impaled themselves with a lot of pain because they made money their goal. 1 Timothy 6:10. Common English Bible. Prologue. Soho, London, February 1962. It happened on a Saturday night. She was at the Carmelo, working in the office over the club, when there was a commotion downstairs and Mitch the barman burst through the door, wild-eyed, dishevelled, and so scared it was all he could do to breathe. "It's fucking Sears!" The words came out as a strangled yelp, and then he was gone as quickly as he'd appeared, leaving the door swinging on its hinges behind him. For a moment, she was so stunned by Mitch's sudden entrance that all she could do was sit there, immobile, the pen poised over the accounts, listening. When she'd passed through the club earlier, it had been packed with a typical Saturday night crowd out for a good time. With the door closed and her mind on the accounts, she'd barely registered the disturbance until Mitch came up to give her the glad tidings. Now, above the sudden mad pounding of her own heart, she could hear glasses smashing, tables being overturned, women screaming, and a man's voice roaring threats. Oh shit. It was happening just as Marcus Redmayne had said it would when he came into another of her clubs 2 weeks earlier, trying to scare the arse off her. She was scared now, all right. Her legs felt weak underneath her as she forced herself out of the chair and hurried to close the door. For a moment she stood with her ear pressed to the wood, listening to the pandemonium downstairs. Oh, fuck. Oh, God. Oh, help. Trembling, she turned the handle, stepped out onto the landing, and peered over the banisters. There was a fight going on, people with baseball bats and bike chains striking out at anyone who got in their way, and women were running, shrieking in fear. Clara's heart was beating so hard she was afraid it would tear its way through her chest wall and thump to the carpet in a bloody heap. Fulton Sears. There he was, in the centre of the room, huge and bald and ugly as sin, swinging left and right with brass knuckle-dusters, his hands red with blood all the way up to the wrists, wallowing in this bloodbath like a hippo in the mud. Limp with fright, Clara edged backward, trying to be invisible. But before she could make it back to the office, he looked up and saw her there. She froze. His face split in a wide grin. She saw him knock one of the waiters to the floor, and then glance up again, up to where she stood on the landing, and... Shit! He was coming up! He was surging through the fight, barging people out of the way. Clara raced into the office and slammed the door closed. Instinctively, she fumbled for a bolt or latch, but there was no lock on the inside of the door. Why would there be? Improvising, she jammed one of the chairs under the handle and stood there, watching it, panting with terror. Then she lunged for the desk, snatched up the phone, and dialed 999, her eyes never leaving the door, the handle, all the time waiting for it to turn, waiting for that monster to try to get in at her. As she was dialing, she could hear Toby's voice in her head. "Whatever happens in the clubs, we don't ever call the police. We never involve the bill, not even the ones on the payroll. We sort things out ourselves." Clara paused for a long moment. Then she slammed the phone back down onto its cradle, looked around for a weapon, anything to defend herself. There was nothing. Sweating, trembling, all she could do was stand there, listening to the chaos downstairs and waiting for the handle to turn. How long would a chair hold him? About 2 seconds. Unable to look away, she carried on staring at it. Oh, God, please help me, she thought, her pulse deafening in her ears. She felt she was going to pass out or throw up, sickened by the images flashing through her mind of what he'd do when he got his hands on her. The noise downstairs seemed to be fading. She could hear only men's voices now, shouting, no more screams. Groaning. Did she hear groaning? She thought she did. And
Sample complete. Ready to continue?